So on X earlier this week, a developer, his name is Mike Rose, released a new game called Spirittea. And I'm just going to read the tweet. I mean, we'll probably show which one of us edits this, we'll put some B-roll over or something so we can actually show it on screen. Well, that's his apology. Here we go. It's time for another Mike Rose stats tweet thread. This time is Spirittea launch week stats. We launched Spirittea last Monday. It's been one of our biggest launches to date. I'm just going to go over the numbers real quick. $1 million in sales during week one. 150,000 players across PC, Switch, and Game Pass. Profitable on day one. Week one profits are 3 times the development cost. Top seller charts in all regions on Nintendo eShop. He talked about the fact that because Steam is now getting a lot of AAA PC ports of other platforms coming in, it's harder to get to the top of the sales charts on Steam, but they're topping the charts on on Nintendo. So the game's doing very well because people are seeing it in the top sellers Nintendo list and doing very well, and people buying it on Switch. And then it kind of
devolved into an oblivion.
Then it changed. Where's that line? Here we go. Over 100. He keeps talking about Game Pass. Sorry, I got there. There we go. A hugely noticeable thing that happened during this launch was that we got absolutely zero YouTube coverage at all. Go search Spirittea on YouTube and you'll see that there's just a couple of big videos. Nearly every YouTuber who got back to us wanted money to make a video. He then posted a search results after saying absolutely zero YouTube coverage at all of multiple people covering the game.
Yeah.
Just in the search results right there.
A lot of views,
He provided his own receipt. Now, to his credit, he did say, you'll see there's just a couple of big videos. He didn't go on to say, now look, I get it. That's just how this works now. YouTubers want you to pay them to cover your games. All right, sure. But I just don't want to do that. It feels weird and icky and disingenuous, and I just can't do it. So I guess our games won't get covered on YouTube anymore. Of course, the fact that we still managed a $1 million launch without any influencer support makes me think, what could we have achieved if I did pay some people? So maybe I'll just be forced. Maybe I'll be forced to it in the future. But God, I just really don't want to. It's so fucking ew.
Those are his words.
Yep. Yeah. In those words. How do y'all think that went over? My man got cooked by multiple people. There were multiple creators who covered his game for free, did not ask for a key, either bought the game or were sent a key and did it. That he just completely disregarded all when he said zero YouTube coverage at all. There were TikTokers who said, I've been uploading clips of your game to hundreds of thousands of views, and that doesn't even register on your radar. So I don't think he misspoke, but I think he did overlook just how much coverage his game had, just because he was probably looking at a few specific channels of people he reached out to. Excuse me. I'm a community manager myself. I've gone through this process. And when you don't hear back from people that you reached out to, it's it's very deflating. But then you start hearing from other content creators. You start seeing videos pop up from people you didn't even talk to. And you're like, oh, the mistake here, well, one of the mistakes here is that he didn't acknowledge the people who were covering this game that he did not directly try to build a relationship with. They were just passionate about the product and wanted to support it. So when you say no YouTube coverage at all, that set off a lot of people. Millions of views on X on these posts right here. So millions of views, hundreds of replies, hundreds of quote tweets. It was rough. So it was pretty rough. Who wants to start? Who wants to start in on this?
Oh man! All right.
Go.
Okay,
so
Jay.
What's the core question?
Okay, so his position was that he feels like paying for YouTube coverage is inherently wrong. He didn't say wrong, but that's how it comes off.
He has a distaste for playing.
Yes, he finds it distasteful. Great word. Coverage. He finds it distasteful. So, in the evolution of content creation and influencer marketing, where do you stand on this, Jay?
Let's do this. So, we are all not mega channels. I'm going to look straight into my camera and say this. I remember when I was a young YouTuber.
Please put the music under this too, Mike, when this happens. Continue.
Yes. When I was a young YouTuber, I bought every single game, not once, but twice, so that me and my wife could enjoy the content together. When I would buy a head strap, I would buy 2 head straps. When I would buy an accessory, I would buy 2 accessories. Um, when I would do giveaways, I would give them away with my own money, um, because I'm a smaller channel.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when you're a bigger channel, people send you content. People will pay you to make content. People will say, oh, you need 2, 3, 4. Oh, you need some to give away. You need keys. No problem. Because you're a bigger channel.
Right.
Let me reverse this real quick. If I was a game developer and no one knew who I was, and I make a game and no one know who I am, I'm going to have to buy and to support and to push my game in as many ways as I possibly can. I'm going to get with some micro content creators, some bigger content creators, some large content creators. I'm going to have me a marketing budget. Now, the bigger I get, let's say a EA, some other publisher, I won't have to necessarily pay you to cover my next Madden, or if I'm 2K, I don't have to pay you to cover the next 2K because that's great content. My game is secured. I've proven myself, and so on and so forth. So let me say this to any developer out there and any content creator out there. There's no point of being entitled. There's no point of being entitled. I think when you're a game developer, there's 2 ways you can look at it. Now, if you have to pay me to cover your game, I don't think anyone specifically says you have to pay for me to make content. But if you want me to make content for something because I'm looking at my schedule, let's say this next 30 days, we're going into December. There might be 15 game launching in that month. I can only do so much, seeing that I have almost 4 jobs I work. So for me to jump you ahead of another game that I'm gotta cover because it's one of the major, let's say Asgard's Wrath 2 is coming out. And I need to spend, that game is 60 hours. So I need to spend some time in there to give my audience a really good understanding of, is this game great? Even though most people who got a Quest 3 is going to get it for free, is it even worth your time downloading and playing it? But you have a new game called Scotch Watch Boogadoo, and you want me to play Scotch Watch Boogadoo, and unfortunately, I'm sorry, Mike. I know that's one of the games you guys are coming out with.
Oh, dang!
No, actually,
you
no,
signed the
I love
NDA.
I
You
know.
signed
What
the
happened to the
NDA,
NDA,
man.
bro?
3 pound games is legit. So
We
I'm
love
not
Robin,
gonna
get the
play
lawyers.
We love
Yeah,
you.
Robin, get the lawyers.
Yes, Robin is
get
the
the lawyers,
coolest.
Robin.
We love Robin.
Don't get me, okay.
Shout out to Robin.
But like literally the game, and you're emailing me a date 5 days before the game comes out, and you want content to be made. Well, okay. I'm not gonna come right out and say I need you to pay me, but my answer may be, I would like to collaborate with you in some way. What's the time frame? What's your expectation? Can I make a short? Can it be a reel? If not, you want a full on YouTube video over this, and you want me to skip over a line, there may have to be some type of compensation, because now my time is a little bit more costly for me.
Yeah.
On the flip side, I don't think no one is entitled to a game key, just like I don't think any game is entitled to coverage. I think it comes down to, we are in a niche, ladies and gentlemen. We are not at the point to where so much saturation is here to where you could just put your game out and expect it to happen. You know how many games hit App Lab every week? Do you know how many games are in production and beta testing? Like, there's so much going on. If you're in these Discords, I'm Discord out at this point of how so many new games and experiences coming. So my answer, and I'm gonna shut up and enjoy the rest of the fellas to talk about this. My answer is what I put in our private Twitter. I'm always thankful, but I'm never entitled. And I think that goes for content creators as well as for game devs. Sometimes you're going to have to build relationships. I love the way I could take Mike, for instance, reached out and said, hey, we got this new game we're going to be coming out with. Here's some keys. He didn't ask for any expectations of what it was. He just said, hey, here's some keys. Enjoy it. And you know what happens? A few weeks later, I dropped a reel. He's like, "Oh man, that's great. It's on all my social medias. Thank you so much for covering our game."
That's it.
That's all it takes.
Yeah.
Sometimes you're gonna throw the net out and you're gonna get a big, huge, a boat full of fish back, and sometimes you're just gonna get a few fish. It's gonna be some good fish though. I'm gonna shut up now.
I can
Yeah,
offer
go
some
ahead.
community manager insight on this just real quick.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd love to hear that.
Your return on investment is pretty low on what you send out, because even if they say
100%.
yes, great, I'll take the keys or whatever, that's not guaranteeing that every creator is going to make a video on it or make it in the timeline that you would like. I personally am sitting on 3 keys that I got months ago that I haven't had time to get through because some of them are longer
That's
games and I don't have time to play through them
Preach.
because there's stuff that keeps jumping the line because it's either something I already had an interest in or something that I had an incentive for, or just for any multitude of reasons. You know, I got sick 2 weeks ago, right when I was supposed to release a video, so I pushed that out. I still haven't got it out yet. But I've already been sent keys to give away to the community, which was kind of like the negotiated thing for that. So let's just say I send out 100 keys for a game. I will probably get, let's just say I reached out to 100 creators. Let's say that. I reached out to 100 creators. We're not going to talk about the number of keys because that's dependent on who it is and what they ask for back. So I reached out to 100 creators. I'm probably going to get, if I had a hazard to guess, maybe 15 to 20 back. Of that 15 to 20, maybe 10 make a video. Because some of them are just so besieged in games or other content or stuff that they're doing, or they have real lives too. You know, I reached out to a guy who literally said, "I'm about to go get married. I'm not going to be back for a month." I was like, okay, cool. Congratulations. Happy for you. Here are the keys anyway. And whenever you get around to it, I don't care if it's 2 months from now. We love to see, we love just to get your opinion on your feedback on it 2 months from now. If you decide to make content, great. But to JDun's point, that's relationship building. That is no pressure, no expectations. I would like you to check out this game, and I go through all these channels and watch their content. I don't send it to someone who is a shooter main because we don't make shooters. So I spend a lot of my job is sitting here watching YouTube video after YouTube video, because you can watch one YouTube video on the creator and think you have a feel for them, and you can be completely off. That might have just been just a one-off that they did. So for every creator I finger quote scout, I watch at least 5 pieces of content before I decide if I'm going to send them something. Just reach out to them, and someone reach out to me. But the return on investment is very, very, very low. So to have any expectations that you are just entitled to get this because of who you are or what you are, I don't care how big of a company you are. Like Jadon said, that's just wrong. That's just wrong. So,
but it's also a little bit of a, to Jadon's
Can I just point it, Clay? Your camera
finish.
dropped. I just need to point that out.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
There's this camera there for me.
Your camera dropped out for me.
It looks good. I can see it. Yeah.
Okay. Maybe it's just my internet that's being wonky. I'm sorry, Clay. Restart. Go ahead.
No, I was thinking to Jadon's point. I feel like while this individual had a poor choice of words, there is a spirit of real collaboration that's missing on both sides, right? And the relationship building that's missing on both sides, right?
Mm-hmm.
Any content creator is not entitled to a review key, right? Be grateful, be thankful. You're not entitled to it. And any developer is not entitled to just definitive coverage. And to your point, it is probably part of the game of, hey, if I want to jump the line, I will have to pay. And I think that's just naturally how things should go. Mm-hmm. The debate that I had with this tweet was, it felt as though people were saying that he was dismissive of the value of content creators. And in my mind, I was trying to challenge that narrative in saying, maybe it's just his opinion to not pay, and that's okay, right? Is there a problem with him saying, you know what, I just don't want to pay content creators, and then keep it moving? Is that a problem? I don't see that being a problem, because if he doesn't want to pay, cool. He doesn't have to pay. Move on. But I think where he went wrong was, I think it's icky was his words, right?
It was
and
the
I don't think it's
totality
icky.
of it.
Yes, the totality of that entire narrative is where it where it was missed.
It was that right after saying I got 0 YouTube coverage.
Yes, right. Which was
combine
also,
those two.
Yeah,
then
which he
that
did
comes
not
off
get 0.
dismissive. That comes off dismissive.
Yeah.
Sure, you've been pretty quiet. What you got?
I don't have all the answers. I do have a complicated perspective on it, though.
Yeah.
like everyone has said, I feel like no matter how big you get, you should be thankful for the keys that you get. So let's start
Yep.
there. It is a privilege to get the keys, right? But I also think that the relationship between developer and content creator has always been messy.
Oh,
And that
yes.
goes as far back as when I first got into the gaming industry on the magazine side. It's messy, and I never liked it. I never liked it because it doesn't. It's not to go into too many details, but there is preference, and I've always
Of course.
respected the way Rockstar started handling the press way back with the release of, I want to say it was Red Dead Redemption 1, right? So what they did was, instead of playing the game that everyone does of sending out, early devs to magazines and online sites, they just said, you know what, we're going to, and they stopped going to conferences too. They stopped really going to E3. What they did was they started making very focused, very well-produced internal videos that explained everything comprehensively they wanted the audience to see, right? And they sold the game themselves. And then they released that same video to all the outlets, right? I think that solves the problem of messaging, at least on my end, that there should be a more developer internal focus way to deliver that message instead of relying on content creators. That's part of my problem.
Mhm.
The other side of this is I almost feel like whenever you have a developer that has the responsibility of giving out keys to content creators, I think that might be solvable by going through the publisher, right? Like, I always wondered if you play with I don't want to call it a subscription fee, but if you are a vetted content creator and like I said, you've already been vetted, you pay a nominal fee to be part of some kind of meta program where a limited number of keys are sent to meta, and then the content creator chooses which game they want to cover, downloads it, and that removes the intimacy of the process between the developer and the consumer. I'd rather see something like that, because I feel like that's the problem. There's a communication problem. There's a confusion there. And I would love to see something like that, where there's a third party and the content creators are responsible for picking what they want, but they're invested because they're paying a monthly fee to stay part of this content creator program. So
you mean something like Lurk It?
Yeah. I was thinking
something like Lurk It, but like a pay versus Lurk It.
Yeah, I never heard of that. What is that?
Oh, you know,
key site.
See, I'm
Lurk
not
It.
Is that a key site? Yeah,
Yeah,
but
this
it's something
key site.
official, right? So it's early access. I'm not paying to be part of a specific game. I'm being part of Meta's program, that I'm a vetted content creator, and I pay a subscription fee that I don't know how it's dispersed, how that goes to the developers or whatever, but I pay a fee to get access to games I get to choose to cover by my discretion. And then I cover the games there. That's fair. And that's fair to the developers, because the developers don't have to give out 20 keys to a specific content creator. I would like to see something like that, because I've always thought the relationship was messy.
Here's where, and to, even that idea in and of itself is a little messy, in that the creators, through this tweet, I've seen some really great, a little bit of an uprising of, hey, like, we are valuable as creators. And so if I'm a creator and I'm paying to be part of a program to get a key, I don't really have to use your key, because I have another guy over here who's going to pay me to review his key, so what would be the advantage of that? To your earlier statement, I don't have an answer either. I think it's all really messy, and it'd be a great way to structure it. And I think what's important to remember on both sides is that, to your point, Mike, the profitability is low, the return on investment is low, right? And so, as a business, forget developer, publisher, as a business, everything I push out, I need to get a better than one return on investment in order for it to be worthwhile, right? And so I think it'd be great if creators remembered that, like, that's why I appreciate the key thing happens, is because this person's literally handing out this opportunity cost of about $20 to you for free. Not free. It's actually negative 20, right? I'm losing that dollar. And I'm hoping that you bring me more than $20 back, right? And that's why the relationship is complex, because I think people forget both sides of it. At the same note, you're right. You know how long it takes? I mean, Mike knows. How long does it take to, like, put out? All of you all know, actually. How long does it take to put out a full-fledged review video, in theory?
Genotype. I'll use genotype as an example. My first play of Genotype, start to finish, was 8.5 hours.
8
I
hours.
recorded every single bit of that.
Right.
And we've all edited videos. Editing 8 hours of gameplay, and you have some markers in your head of like significant stuff you
100%.
want to pull, but you might not remember what hour that happened in or what point that happened in.
Absolutely.
Especially if you're in VR, you can't stop and make a marker real quick. So
Nope.
So you skim through it.
So what
my
we're talking
Genotype
like
review, my Genotype review, which is 6 minutes long, took almost 20 hours total.
right.
Because I rewatched every
Now
single bit
map
of that.
that to, let's say, minimum wage, and it's not minimum wage work, mind you, but even minimum wage, that person in theory owes you for your time over $200 to $300. Right?
Yeah.
So that's where this imbalance comes from on a monetary level, right? I'm this developer, obviously think about R&D, investment time, etc. There's just this imbalance, and no one really understands the value they're receiving or giving away, and that's where the fight happens.
Yeah.
Do I have it solved? No, but here's the
Right.
problem.
Right.
I want to correct one very inaccurate thing that people who aren't YouTubers who don't know. We don't make a lot of money on content.
No.
Gaming, the way revenue works on YouTube is that advertisers will pay a higher premium. It's called RPM. It's called RPM, revenue per mil. That's how much you make as a YouTuber. There's cost per mil, which is what advertisers pay. The
Correct.
RPM for gaming is one of the lowest of any content category because generally the people who are consuming gaming content are younger or not as affluent as people who are watching like investment channels, finance channels, things like that. So the RPM for those channels is somewhere around $20 for every 1,000 views. The average RPM for a gaming channel is somewhere between $2 to $3 for every 1,000 views. And I'm pointing this out because there are a lot of people. There were people in that thread who were saying, "Well, if they make this video get this many views, they're getting this much in ad revenue." And so many people cooked those people. Was like, "No, that's incorrect. That's incorrect. I have not made." Actually, I'm not gonna put my money out there. I'm not gonna put my money out there. By the way, if you want to send me money, my Cash App is
My Cash App is,
waiting for JDun to
or
say
use
it.
Venmo. You can use Venmo.
But no, like this is to Clay's point. There is a very low return on what we do. We do this because
100%.
we're passionate about it and because we care.
And I want to add
Yes.
something.
Yeah, the money's not there.
I want to say this though, which has been beautiful, and I think all of us beginning to see this sprinkled on our own channels. When you do it out of love, out of enjoying it, these publishers are watching. Okay, they see. I got an email today where literally the publisher's like, "Yo, you've made multiple videos about our content. We enjoy watching your content. We want to partner with you. How can we work with you on this particular campaign?" And I'm like, I've been making content, never once thought I would even get an email, but they paid attention. I think I said this maybe on the last one, but I was at Connect. And I mentioned that, the publishers of Quantar was like, I remember your video. Your video was great. And, thank you so much for taking the time out to cover our game. And many people covered their game. That's not the problem. Build these relationships, be authentic. Let me look at the camera again. Look at the camera again. Be authentic, be genuine in your coverage of what you love. And I promise you, just like all of us have seen this year, last year, the opportunities will come because you simply are doing it because you love it. Game development and things like that. Yes, you want to make a profit. Yes, all of us on YouTube, eventually we want to be successful and be able to provide for our families because of it. But I don't rush to make a video because I'm like, I'm going to get $10 of ad revenue today. No, I'm not. That's not my thought. I'm thinking when I saw the casting 2.0, I immediately jumped in, made a quick little video and say, family, VR, this is happening. Go do it. Whether it goes viral or not doesn't matter to me. Yes, I want to be successful, but I also want to make sure that my niche continues to grow. And so that's the reason why we do it, man. Build those relationships, be genuine, and watch those opportunities come.
I have my job because I played a demo from 3 Pound Games. That was the beginning of that relationship. I've worked for them for over a year now.
There you go. I think we just have to do do what we love, and the opportunities will show up, and just continue to just not be entitled on both sides, right? Like no one's owed anything to anyone. That's it. No one's owed anything here. So, but I know that's a hard pill to swallow because it takes a lot of work. 16 hours to put together a video that may or may not, especially review videos. Sometimes it's they don't even crack 1,000 views anyway.
Yeah.
You know what
But
I mean?
So now y'all got me. I feel led to say this now. I have to
Mhm.
talk to every VR publisher out there. Please treat. We have a
Yes.
huge problem in who gets keys, who gets
Mhm.
media packages, who gets these things sent out to them early, and it's not a lot of melanated or people of color. I just have to say that I need you guys to get better at showing and giving out to a variety of creators. That's men, that's women, that's different races and creeds, beliefs, and everything.
Correct.
Because it is something that's definitely a problem, and it's something that every time I talk to a publisher, when I see unequalness, I always question it. I say, "Oh, well, I saw they got this, I got this."
Mhm.
What was the reason behind that? And it's not
Mhm.
not even about the different sizes of channels.
Mhm.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it's just skin color.
Mhm.
So I have to say that because it wouldn't be us if I couldn't
Yeah.
say at least that. We need to
Mhm.
do a better job at that as a community. There needs to be more opportunities across the board for all of us and not just
Mhm.
some of us.
Let me come in defense of the publishers to some extent, right? So I don't make nearly as much content as I used to for various reasons that I won't get into on camera. But at the end of the day, of the gaming industry relationships, I've noticed that VR has been the most receptive. I feel like closed mouths don't get fed, and if you ask,
Mhm.
most of the time the publishers will respond and try to help you, and not help you, I don't want to say that. They will treat you the same as
Absolutely.
they're treating the big publishers, the
Absolutely.
big content creators, because I've gotten keys that I should not have gotten in my channel, super small, but they were cool and they kept those
Absolutely.
relationships open.
feel that.
they still talk to you. So
Yeah.
VR
I
is
love
open
that.
that way. I will give it that.
I do love the VR
Yeah.
industry for that reason. We're small and mighty, and I love it.
Yeah.
Yes. And the only reason why I put that out there is because I know there's good people. I know
Yeah.
it's
Yep.
not intentional. I know it's not intentional. Every
Yeah.
time I've had this conversation, it's never been intentional. It's just something I want to see that change because we're opening these doors. This podcast is to open the door for more
Facts.
more content creators. XR Mixtape is about really showing forth that it's more than just one type of creator out there that's talking
Yep.
about VR, XR devices. So, see this push, see this reason of us sacrificing our evening to have these conversations
Yep.
to know that we really care about this and we have something to give to the community on it as well.
You're right, Sho. Closed mouths don't get fed. We open up the mouth right now. This is it. This is what we're doing.
Right.
Everybody just point at the camera right now.
I got Cash App. I got Venmo. I take Apple Pay.
There we go, baby.
Got a P.O.
There we go,
box.
baby.
You know what I'm saying?
There we go.
No, it's true.
I
Because we
think
would
I-
love to review this stuff, man.
Yeah.
I just think because we are so passionate about it, and like I know I'm uploading like old Twitch VODs, and I know they're not going to get views, but I do it because I want it out there because I just love it. I just love it so much. It's wild.
I'm old. I'll take a post-dated check. I mean, what y'all got? I'm good. Whatever kind of payment you want, I'm good.
My man's still there, and I'm with it.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Speaking of close mouth, Marty, you've been pretty quiet. We'll close out with you.
Oh,
Got anything to say on this?
Yeah, honestly, I feel like it's one of those things where, well, two things. One, any game that came out within the last like 3 months in any type of game industry right now, everything is swamped. Like last month, if you're like a general game, you released with like Mario Wonder, Alan Wake, and a bunch of other different games. It's like you
Spider-Man.
kind of got to compete, my boy. You got to give up some of that cash to get some of that coverage. 'Cause, I mean, it's honestly bigger games that if you're a big content creator, you're thinking, okay, what has the algorithm right now? Obviously, it's going to be like Spider-Man or anything like that. Just being honest. So it's like, I feel like publishers have to be real with themselves. Like, okay, what am I competing against in the gaming space right now? And even like some VR games, like if you're releasing like this week, it's probably what Sniper Elite. Next week, Arizona Sunshine. There's a lot of big hitters coming out.
Mhm.
So people are going to be less likely to kind of cover your game, even though it sucks. But, most people are chasing the algorithm.
Yeah, I'm dropping my game.
It's
I'm
things.
dropping my game in like February and March, like the low period. I'm in that dry period.
Yeah, right.
Nothing's coming out. That's why I'm dropping something. All right.
Can I add one more thing to this?
Yeah, go ahead.
This
Yeah, go ahead.
conversation. I do have a great deal of sympathy or empathy rather for the developers, right?
I do too.
Yeah, right? There's this one game, and I like calling it out because no one knows what I'm talking about, right? There's a game on Quest called Revria. I don't know if anyone's played it or seen it. It is an amazing app lab game that is so underground. And whenever I talk to people about it, and I've talked to people who I can't mention here, but I'll bring it up about, how you get exposure for things like that, right? Because there's so many games on App Lab. I think it just made it to the Quest, officially out of whatever the pre-App Lab phase was, but now it's in the Quest store. And this guy is on the Discord, just basically begging people, please listen to my demo. Please try my game, right? He's barely making rent. And this game literally is probably the underground Grand Theft Auto, but sci-fi space. And no one cares, right? How do those games get exposure? Because no one's covering it. The industry overlooks it when it's not a big game. And only small channels like, ones that I might do or people on this channel, the people here will do, no one cares. And I think there's a lot of sympathy when I hear developers saying, I shouldn't have to pay for this kind of coverage. So, I don't know. It's a complex issue.
You shouldn't have to pay for this kind of coverage. There's ways to get that kind of exposure. Like, even if they didn't want to do creators, there's probably ways to get some exposure for cheap. I think some research is needed, but I also empathize with that because there are a lot of really great hidden gems. In fact, there may be too many. How many are in App Lab just this year added recently?
Yeah.
How many just added in this week?
This week,
yeah.
I can't even keep
how
up
does
with
App Lab
Anybody?
App Lab was like 15 or 1600 at the beginning of the year. It's over 2000.
Right.
Wow.
So we have that many games, and then we have a small industry of players, and App Lab in and of itself is also not it's not right in front and center. So there's this huge barrier to entry to get to that. I'm with you, Sho. It's very difficult to make that happen, and I'll keep thinking about ways for these developers to shine because there's probably some great things in there that we just.
So, is that a platform
know.
issue more than so than like a?
It's everywhere issue. It's music. I was in the music business before this. Come on, how many of y'all got a cousin right now that can rap Jay-Z under the table?
Right.
Just being honest, okay? Can
A real
rap
talk,
Jay-Z
I
under
really
the
do.
table right now, but
Literal
no
cousin.
one knows they exist because either TikTok they're not TikTok famous, or they don't have the money to pay a marketing firm, or they can't get signed to a label because they're not willing to do what it would take to get signed to a label, and so they never become the thing. This is the reality of life. It's even if you make an incredible good game, even if you have something that is basically fire, the proof of fire existing on Earth, unless people know it exists, it'll never happen. I mean, you're talking about something it's in every single market. There's millions of lawyers, there's millions of doctors. What made you choose your doctor? What made you choose your lawyer? There's still luck and chance. Sometimes. And I read a book on Angry Birds, Rovio, the publishers of Angry Birds. They made 99 bad games before Angry Birds existed. And Angry Birds was like their last resort type of joke game. In fact, the voices of the birds was the guy, the Mighty Eagle dude. He was the voices of the... I read this whole book and I was just in awe that they were literally... It was just shovelware. You got to think about something like Flappy Bird was never meant to be... something huge, and who was a PewDiePie? Somebody randomly comes across it on an ad, clicks it, and plays it on his stream, and the guy made so much money that he took it off the stores because he didn't want the publicity anymore. I'm like, I would have kept that dang thing rolling.
He's crazy. He's crazy.
I would have kept it rolling, but that's what I'm saying. I think you take that same guy in the Discord who's saying, please, aren't we all that person when we started our channels? Please watch my YouTube channel.
I'm still that person. What are you talking about?
I had on two fronts. I'm like, please play our game and please watch my video. I'm that on two different levels.
It's like...
So that's what I'm saying. So I think there's a level of grit. There's a level of grind.
Yes.
There's a level of determination that I'm going to take this, even if it seems like this game is great, I'm going to keep elevating it. I'm going to keep making it better. I'm going to shut up after this. I promise y'all. But being in the music business, this changed my life when I heard this guy who had a very famous song He got on the radio station and was like, man, we love your song. We about to play this hit. Man, tell us what you think about the song. The guy said, bro, I'm sick and tired of the song. I've been pushing this song for 3 years before y'all even heard it. I said, when I heard that changed my whole perspective. My camera died on me.
Oh, was that?
Look, it was me this time. It was me this time.
Yeah.
But I'm still pointing at the camera, believe it or not. Literally, the reality was that this brother said that he'd been doing this. He been pushing that same song for 3 years. So for me, I'm like, hey, keep pushing your game, and it'll get that coverage eventually.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, to finally add to that, I just feel like you want to see me excited about whatever the next iteration of anything is. Yeah, I get hardware is dope, but to circle back, I want to see better software. I want to see better ground level integration with the software, and I want to see more platform curation, right, from Meta side on pointing people in the right direction. Kind of like Apple used to be when they first started, kind of like how Steam was in the beginning. They took the time, because these were for gamers by gamers, to point people in the direction of hidden gems. So going forward, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like, but I would love to see Meta play more of a role in that. I don't know.